Twisha Christian. Today I'm going to be discussing the global debt. And as you read the headline, a quarter of a quadrillion dollars is the current global debt. So I'm going to be discussing that here. But I'd like to thank you guys for your support on the Patreon. The links are down below in the description. Every dollar helps, and I thank you for your support. Those who support on Patreon also support the Grigori Legends Project. It's an animation and comic book / graphic novel. You can check it out when you go check out the link down below in the description. All right, so I have the chart here, and today we're going to focus on the debt, right? 250 trillion global debt. That's a quarter of a quadrillion dollars. All right, this article came out about 5 days ago, and I was trying to research just some other things that surround that. But it says global debt surged to a record 250 trillion, or a quarter of a quadrillion dollars, in the first half of 2019, led by the U.S. and China. Wow. The report released by the IMF or the IIF on Thursday showed the global debt surged by 7.5 trillion in the first 6 months of 2019. Rising debt across the world has been a big concern for investors and also has been flagged as the next breaking point by a number of economists. The IIF states the global government debt will top 70 trillion in 2019, up from 65.7 trillion in 2018, driven higher by the surge in the U.S. federal debt. Global debt hit a record high over 250 trillion in the first half of this year, led by a surge in borrowings in the U.S. and China, according to a new report. All right, so as we go here, we can see, these are getting ridiculous. And everybody in the entire world should be concerned about what is going on with the debt. All right, there's a video here, Fed's Powell, debt is growing faster than the economy, and that's not sustainable. All right, so again, everybody needs to be concerned about this. Whether you relate it to the dinar or the global currency reset, or just in your own personal life. Because at some point, this debt is going to come back to haunt the entire world. And who do we owe $250 trillion to? That just doesn't make any sense, because obviously if you have $250 trillion to give, right? But they don't. It's all, they print money. Okay, now this is an important part. However, central bankers don't seem very worried about these rising debts. On Thursday, Fed Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said he does not see signs of any bubblings brewing or immediate dangers being posed by trillion-dollar deficits. Now this is ridiculous. These are record debt all around the world. And it's just amazing that these people sit back and they think, oh, don't worry about it, it's only a quarter of a quadrillion dollars. So here we are. We're at a point where this thing has to burst. This thing has to come down on this world economy, because there is nothing. If you look at how the central banking system works, if they weren't able to keep debt down for the last 20 years, how else do you think they're going to be able to keep $250 trillion down? If they couldn't handle it then, what makes you think they can handle it now? Where are they just going to come out of their pockets this money to start getting this debt down? And maybe this is a good thing for those who are invested in the global currency reset, the dinar RV, because obviously something has to change. So I just wanted to bring that point out to you guys that we need to be concerned, because at any point in time this thing could affect the economy. This thing could crash the economy, this world debt. So if the global currency reset doesn't happen before this economic crash dealing with the central banks and all this debt, you just need to be prepared. But also too, you need to remember, you also need to be invested too as well. And I just wanted to point out, I know this article came out a couple months ago, but this is the other thing when we look at the global debt, and then we have the U.S. dollar share of global currency reserves at lowest since 2013. Now, Johnny from Currency 365 talked about this a lot, and a lot of countries started replacing the dollar reserve currency. Now, how this is going to affect the markets, How's this going to affect the United States? I think that still remains to be seen. But when you add this with the currency, with the global debt, but maybe this is the plan. Because if, in my opinion, if things do go to a gold-backed currency, that could be part of the global currency reset. It could change a lot of things. The number one thing they got to deal with is the debt. And then I just have another article here. From South Korea to Brazil, a global guide to stimulus plans in 2020. So it just goes over all these different countries, cutting taxes and doing all these things to try to stimulate the economy. And they just list a number of all these major, and then, pumping money into this and tax cuts over here for the middle class and this and that. And I think, because I know that they know that things are coming. And just to read the first paragraph, central bankers say they're running out of room to cut interest rates, and it's time for governments to take the lead in trying to spur demand via fiscal policy. But a review of budget plans in a dozen countries suggests politicians are being slow to heed the call, even though it's cheap or free to borrow. Okay, so here we go. We got politicians all around the world. They're not reacting to what's going on. So they need to take advantage of cheap or free money to borrow. Well, of course, if you have to borrow money, you're still putting yourself in debt. So it says here, the central bankers, they're running out of room to cut interest rates. All right, so there's a couple things there going on, but the most important thing is that this world has $250 billion worth of debt. Think about that. And for those of us who do live in the United States, we think about, well, what does it really matter? I mean, we have $14 trillion worth of household debt. That means people are borrowing money. You have loans on your cars, your houses, personal loans, credit card loans, debt, whatever. So if the Americans don't care about borrowing, well, they don't care that their government is borrowing this kind of money. And you got to ask yourself, where did the United States is $23 trillion in debt? Where did that money go? The schools aren't better. The roads aren't better. Life for the average person is not better in any way, shape, or form. We don't have any kind of, a better healthcare system. So where did all the money go? So hopefully things will change after this currency global reset takes place, and all of us will be in a better position. All right, so just this is fresh in your mind, and this thing is bubbling. And that's why I think, like I said, this thing could go into 2020. I think it's going into 2020. I think there are a lot of things that still have to happen. I could be wrong, but I think we're still going there. Just need we all just need to hold on. And I think 2020 is the time. You had the elections. You had the supposed stock market crash. Try to keep the president out of office to make him lose. There's a lot of theories out there. But we'll just keep watching. We'll keep waiting. And we'll just see what actually takes place. And with that being said, Twisted Christian out.